During World War II, the countless brutal acts of the Imperial Japanese Army shocked and enraged the world. In comparison, it might seem that Germany committed fewer atrocities. However, that is far from the truth. As a victorious power on several fronts, Nazi Germany captured a large number of prisoners of war and imprisoned them in the Auschwitz concentration camp. At that time, the Nazis devised extremely perverse methods of punishment to entertain and satisfy the German public. One of these punishments became known as the wooden goat execution, an absolutely inhumane practice. What was the wooden goat? According to testimonies from Jewish survivors, what terrified people in Auschwitz was not only the imminent death itself, but the slow and inhumane path toward it. The wooden goat was, in fact, just a wooden log about 1 meter long. 4 wooden stakes were fixed onto it, representing the legs of the goat. Despite its simple appearance, this object struck terror into everyone. Prisoners chosen for punishment were stripped completely naked and humiliatingly tied to the log, fastened by the 4 stakes. Then, a German officer wielded a long whip covered with sharp thorns or blades, lashing the victim's back repeatedly. The entire camp echoed with cries of agony. No matter how much the prisoners begged, the Nazis remained unmoved. On the contrary, many became even more excited at the sound of the screams. One officer named Dahlem was particularly sadistic. He forced the victims to count out loud each strike of the whip. If their voice was too low, or if they miscounted, the punishment restarted from 0. If a prisoner fainted from the unbearable pain, the guards applied even crueler punishments, leaving the unconscious body exposed under the scorching summer sun, or in the freezing winter snow, without food or water, until they died of exhaustion or infection. The fate of Jews and prisoners. At that time, Germany was the second largest industrial power after the United States, but the war drained its resources and collapsed the economy. While ordinary Germans struggled in poverty, many Jews, historically known for their commercial skills, were still able to profit from wartime opportunities. This fueled deep resentment. Driven by hatred and anti-Semitic propaganda, the Nazis arrested Jews en masse. Jewish women were often humiliated, and those not executed were sent to concentration camps for forced labor. In the camps, any sign of disobedience or weakness could result in torture. Among various barbaric methods, the wooden goat was considered one of the worst, as it attacked not only the body but also the dignity and spirit of the victims. Collective terror. Prisoners forced to witness the punishment had to remain completely silent. If anyone cried, closed their eyes, or showed compassion, they were immediately stripped and tied to the wooden goat as well. Often, dozens of prisoners were punished in succession. When one collapsed and fell from the log, the next was forced to take the position without delay. The whips, studded with blades, tore flesh down to the bone. Some prisoners died instantly, while others succumbed slowly to infections and wounds swarming with flies. Even those who miraculously survived and escaped the camp could never fully recover from the trauma. Physical scars might heal, but the spiritual and psychological damage lasted a lifetime. Final reflection. War itself is already a disaster, but the suffering of innocent civilians, turned into victims of power struggles, is even more tragic. Families were destroyed, homes lost, and lives crushed by the ambitions of rulers. To this day, many Jews still refuse to speak about the humiliations they endured at Auschwitz. That period remains an open wound in human history, and a warning for the world to never again repeat such horrors.